I want to tell y'all about this deal. Yo, literally the worst subject to deal I ever had in my life. Okay. If you watch all of the training videos that I put out a 4-part series about it, and you guys need to be writing down a lot of the things that I say, because I'm not teaching for information. I'm teaching from experience, and everything that I'm teaching you, I did not do in this deal. Like, I did not get a login. I didn't get a statement. I mean, there's so many things that I did wrong, and it turned out to be the absolute worst deal of my life. Okay. And I want you guys to stay until the end of the video, because I want to share with you how it turned out and how we ended up solving it, and essentially how I got a free house. Let's get into it. So what's up, guys? It's your boy, Swan Belcher. If you don't know me, subscribe and like the video. You'll get to know me, okay? But here we talk about business, finance, and real estate. Okay, we do our best to drop a video Monday through Friday throughout the week, just talking about how you can make money. Okay, literally how you can use side hustles inside of real estate with none of your own money or credit, so you can go out and become the person that you want to become and make how much ever money you want to make. Okay, and and just be an awesome person. Okay, so if you want to make money, live your best dream life, definitely follow the channel. Today, I wanted to, I don't share this story with a lot of people because most people don't want to hear your sob stories. They don't want to hear you complain. But this is not going to be like a complaint thing. This is more going to be like an explanation of what happened. So that way you can learn from it. Now, if you don't understand what subject to real estate investing is, subject to is when you purchase a house, right, by leaving some kind of mortgage or loan or something to do with debt and payments in place. Okay. Most of the time in a traditional sale, all loans and payments are paid off at the time of closing. But in this case, they are left behind for the buyer to keep current. The big issue with doing this strategy is not being able to talk to the lenders. Okay. So the seller has a mortgage, they make a payment, they use their own credit, they use their taxes, they use all of this different stuff that revolved around the borrower to qualify for this loan. Okay. And typically what lenders will do is they'll take all of this information that qualified for this loan, and later they will sell the rights to this mortgage to someone else. So there's a federal law that if you're not the borrower with all this personal private information, you can't talk to the lender on behalf of this borrower or this particular mortgage with this borrower. So that's a huge problem within the subject to realm. Okay, because you can't talk to the lender because of that reason, and also because of the due on sale clause. Okay, so it's very hard to talk to them. Now, I know what solves the problem now, but at this time, I didn't really understand how big of an impact this was going to be. So this guy had, number one, he found me on Facebook. No, I'm sorry. He didn't find me on Facebook. We found him through pulling notice of default leads from the county. So he was behind on mortgage. Turns out this guy inherited this house from his dad. His dad had died, like 3 months ago. He finally reached out to us when he started getting notifications from the bank that they were looking to foreclose. So at that point, we met him. First day we met him, he came up from Atlanta. We met at the house, signed a purchase agreement to give us the mortgage, no problems. He thought he was done at that point, that he didn't have to do anything once he signed the purchase agreement. Now, the thing about when you inherit a house is there's a process called probate. Probate is the legal process of making your dad's stuff yours. Okay, because you can't just, your dad dies and then you say, hey, Mr. Bank, my dad had an account here, he died, give me all of his money. That's not really how it goes. There's a legal process where the judge says, hey, who's all of his, debtors out there? Who's all of his heirs? And then there's a court proceeding behind making sure everyone that's owed money gets their money, and then all of the heirs gets everything that's left over, or the heirs end up having to pay. Okay, you have to go through that process in order to take the rights. He didn't go through that process. Okay, and now a benefit to subject to is you can take on title issues, and repair them over time. And so I knew that at the time. So I said, hey, great, I'll still go on through with the deal. That was issue number one. Okay. Well, that was actually two issues. Not being able to talk to the bank. Okay. And then the second issue is not having the proper probate process already done. I'm still doing the deal. I'm risky. I'm young. About to get a rental property. I'm using OPM. Let's do it. Okay. So we're still gonna do the deal. Now, it gets up to about a week before closing at this point, and a water bill pops up. Okay. Turns out that a pipe had burst under the ground. You know, since the dad wasn't living there, the heat wasn't on. Okay, because the son is not paying for it. So whenever pipes don't get heated in the wintertime, they freeze and they burst, which allows a massive amount of water. It's $4,000 water bill. $4,000 water bill. And so that came up. Of course, the seller, who's the son, who thinks he's out of the deal now, he's not going to pay for that. There's no proceeds that he's going to get that money can come from. So who has to bear the expense? Your boy. Third problem that comes up. Okay. The next problem is that the mortgage holder, the loan servicing company, PHH Mortgage, don't do subject twos with PHH Mortgage. They would not give the attorney an actual payoff. Now, most of the time, an attorney can call and says, hey, I'm the attorney. I'm the person in charge of this transaction. I'm going to make sure you get paid. Give me a payoff, or give me the amount of money that needs to be, paid so the mortgage can get current. They would not give the attorney this information. And of course, the borrower is dead. So we can't get the borrower on the phone to get this information. And so I'm like, well, we can just use the information that we have from the county with the date of death to determine how much he's behind. We know how much the payment is. We know what the date of death is. We can kind of estimate. I'm still willing to take the risk. Crazy. At this point, plenty of buyers would have backed out. But I'm young. I understand. I get through the risk right now. One day I'm gonna enjoy the reward. So we end up closing on it with all of these different issues. Once we close, by the way I'm funding this deal is through an equity. I call it the equity play. So I have a private money workshop that I teach how to partner with people, use their money, you do all the grunt work, and you guys own the property together. That's how I took this property down. And of course, whenever it goes from my deal finding company to that other company that I own, I make a fee there. Well, that fee was gone after the water bill. Okay. So I called the bank right after the closing to figure out, hey, can I make a payment? Long story short is they wouldn't let me make a payment because I didn't know the last four of his social. Yeah. I'm like, hey, why do I need his social if I'm trying to give you money? They wouldn't tell me. Okay. So that's one thing that I learned is now at closing, I need to make sure that the borrower writes down their social on the closing docs so I have it on every single subject to deal. Now, after beating it up with them for about 3 months, it goes over to the local foreclosure attorney. I own the house now, so we're in foreclosure. Okay. My private money guys, money is in it. We're in foreclosure. Mind you, we went ahead and fixed up the house and I got it rented out just so it's producing income during this. And we're in foreclosure, and finally the foreclosure attorney understands subject to. So he says, no problem, we're gonna get you straight. Here's what you have to pay to get the loan current. I said, awesome. So I ended up getting the loan straight. He ended up giving me temporary, permission to make payments on it. And I said, great, just take this account number, put it on auto draft. Everything is going smooth for a year. Okay. I don't need to log in because the payments are on auto draft. You see what I'm saying? Right? The foreclosure attorney understood my pain, what I was going through with the subject to deal. So he let me make the payment. I got a tenant in place. They're making payments. We're all good. Now, about a year and 3 months go by. The tenant that's been paying so well says, hey man, we haven't lived in the house for 2 years. I'm just gonna go ahead and quote unquote move out. But we haven't been there in the last 2 months. because my job moved me out of state, and he left it in perfect, pristine condition, perfectly clean. One of the best tenants I've ever had. And I said, no problem, no problem. Also, at the same exact time, I wasn't getting the mail because I don't have a login to change up the mailing addresses. But at this time, the mortgage got sold, because now that the loan is back performing, the mortgage got sold to a mortgage company. But because I'm not getting the mail, because I don't have the login to change the mailing address and phone number and email address to log in, the mortgage gets sold to another company. So my automatic draft payment stopped. So once he moved out, okay, I started checking the mail over there. And then that's when I discovered we're in foreclosure again. We're in foreclosure. We're in pre-foreclosure again because of this new bank. Now, this new bank is a real a-hole because they're not going to let me pay again. And so I was like, well, no problem. I've already been through this. Let's just go through with it, and let's let it get to the foreclosure attorney because they're going to understand my pain. Simple story. It gets to the foreclosure attorney. They understand my pain, but this bank will not allow me to set up auto draft payments through the foreclosure attorney. I got a new tenant in, so we're good there. They make their first month payment. Okay. Next month goes by. I call them to make a payment. I call the bank to make a payment. They won't let me make a payment. Absolutely crazy. I'm frustrated at this point. This is also in the second month. The tenant, it's making me upset thinking about it. The tenant doesn't pay. She doesn't pay 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, blames it on COVID, says that she's going to get assistance. She doesn't get assistance. 6 months, 7 months, no payments. At the same time, the bank is not allowing me. Finally, I sue for possession to kick the tenants out so they can move. All while I'm suing for possession, they applied to buy a house. So they got pre-approved to buy a house. And now they got their offer accepted to close on this house. But you know what? You know what you got to do whenever you buy a house? The underwriter has to verify that they've made all of their payments on time with the landlord and that they're current on their current rent before they'll lend them the money. So I found this out because the bank called me as the landlord and says, hey, we just need you to write up a letter saying that they're current, they've made all of their payments on time, nothing past 30 days since they've been there with you. And so I honestly say to the realtor and to the bank, and I said, well, I would be glad to write that letter if they would actually pay me the $4,000, whatever dollars it is. I'll be more than glad to write that letter. So of course, whenever I said that, they can't buy the house anymore because they find out that they haven't paid their rent in X amount of time. The tenants purposely burned down my house. They take fire to the kitchen. They take fire to the bedroom. It's pissing me off thinking about it. They take fire to the dining room and they burn my house down. They burn my house down. And burnt it up good, y'all. Burnt it up good. Just so you can understand the equity position that I was in, even through all of the problems, I was willing to deal with all these problems because of the equity position that I was in. At that time, the house was worth about $140,000. We picked up the mortgage at like $40,000. Okay, so we got plenty of equity. That's why I was willing to go through the risk. Now, luckily, I had insurance. I'm still in foreclosure at this point. Is about to go to auction, but luckily, God blessed me with a good insurance agent. Got the claim. The insurance cut a check. They said, hey, $90,000 is how much it's gonna cost to fix this up. Here's a check of $60,000. I said, perfect. That's enough to pay off the house. Called the foreclosure attorney, paid off the house. But I don't have the money to fix up the house now. So now I got a burnt up, paid off house. That's the best news ever. At least it's paid off and it's mine now. Okay. Now in this partnership, I had 2 houses that was both fire damaged that we didn't have money to fix up. So what me and this partner decided to do was to swap houses. He would get 100% of the McKnight Mill house. I would get 100% of the other house on Market Street. So that is my story of my worst subject to deal and how I ended up getting a free house. Okay. My private money partner funded all of the money for the house on Market Street and all of the money on McKnight Mill. he ended up getting a house that he only had to put 20 grand into. That's now, you know, he actually fixed it up. Once again, I think ARV is close to like 180 on that house now. And then I have a house that I didn't have to, you know, I had to put some money into it after we actually did the exchange, but I got the house for free because of this unseen circumstances. Okay, but now look, what should you learn from this story? Okay, number one, that subject twos are risky transactions. Okay, there's a certain level of risk that you're going to go into a subject to deal with, so you need to be sure that you have equity and you have cash flow. Equity meaning that houses in the area are selling for 200, the payments that you're taking over, the mortgage that you're taking over is at, you know, 100 or 150. You know, you see what I'm saying? There's equity there. So if you need to ever sell, you can get your money and use that money to pay off the debt and still have some left over. Okay. Cash flow, meaning that your monthly payment, that payments on that house was $500 a month, and we was renting it out for $1,000. Beautiful. Cash flow and $500. It was awesome. And that 500 included the insurance and the taxes. It was great. So cash flow, meaning your payments are 500, you're able to get 1,000, and you have money that's coming in every month to not just pay for the mortgage, but pay for any fix up, and then also to have left in the account so you can create a reserve over time. So if something happens, like the tenant not paying for a while, you can cover the mortgage. Okay. The second thing I want you to get from this is to make sure you always have a login. Okay, when you get the login from the seller, if they don't have a login, sit with them at closing and create one. When you have the login, you can change the mailing address so that all of the statements come to you, to your house. You can change the phone number so that way you get text messages from the bank, right? And verification codes from the bank directly to your cell. Okay, and then you can also get your interest statements for your taxes directly right there online as well. I mean, that login solves most of your issues, so you don't have to call and talk to the bank to make a payment. You can just go online, put in your card number, boom, payment. Okay. Another thing I want you guys to is to realize in this right here is that you need insurance. Insurance is your shortcut to success. Okay. Even when you have a house paid off, one insurance policy is your ticket to increasing your net worth, in this case, by $100,000. That insurance policy, I think we paid $1,500 tops for it, and it paid out $90,000 and a free house. So insurance is important. Do not overlook that, especially for all of my melanated people. Okay, certain things you cannot skip. Insurance is not one of those. Get a great agent that knows what he's talking about, that's going to look out for you, that's okay with making sure that he covers you in your claims. Okay. And then the next thing I want you to learn from this particular story is that it's okay to take risk. If I would have never took that risk, I would have never learned all the stuff that I had to learn over this 1.5-year journey. If I would have never took that risk, I would have never got a free house. You know, if I would have never took that risk, I would have never got this partnership, because Kendall is absolutely amazed how he got a free house. You know, that I was able to use his money, give him his money back, and he still end up with the free house. You know, so learn from my mistakes, but at the same time, take action. Okay, every day that you spend not doing is another day that you will have exactly that. Okay, but every day that you put in the work, you are marketing for motivated sellers, you're negotiating, you're taking the no's, right? You're being comfortable with making the hard decisions and doing the hard things, making offers every single day, taking, you know, courses, getting smarter, hiring people, making mistakes, that there is rewards when you do that. Okay, so I wanted to tell you guys this story to let you know this business is hard, but at the end of the day, you're gonna be rewarded. Okay, and because you was willing to do what's hard, what's outside of the norm, you might be rewarded a free house. Now, if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe, hit the like, literally just a transparent video about how I'm not perfect, how I did things not so perfectly, but how you can learn from my mistakes, you know, but at the same time, while we made mistakes, we made money. And I want the same thing for you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.